everyone, and welcome to another brand new Geek Bite brought to you by the
Geek Buddies.
Hey! Well, we are back today to do another Geek Bite for you and another review for you. And this one has been something that you guys have been asking us to do here for the last few days, and that is a review of Sinners, the new Ryan Coogler movie that is out in theaters now for people to enjoy. I think a lot of us have seen it in IMAX and seen it in a regular format. And there's a lot of strong thoughts, strong conversations to be had about this movie. It stars Michael B. Jordan here as two brothers, Smoke and Stack, who leave Chicago to go back to their hometown in Mississippi. It's set in 1932. They want to open a juke joint. They rope in their nephew here, Preacher Boy, played by Miles Caton, to be part of this. They recruit people from the town that they bring into this whole situation to put it all together. We have some love relationships that are rekindled here. We have some sexy moments. We have a vampire who is the main villain, played by Jack O'Connell. We got a great performance from Delroy Lindo. And about an hour into the movie, everything changes and it becomes a vampire film where this crew has to take on the vampires here. And there's a lot of messaging in the movie, a lot of themes, a lot of mythology references, and some interesting conversations to be had about the approach in telling a story like this with so much myth mixed in with actual events that happened back then. So, Michael, your thoughts overall as we start this on Sinners?
My thought is I think Ryan Coogler is one of the best directors that exists, period.
Mm.
Like Ryan Coogler, I already liked Ryan Coogler. I think I've liked pretty much every movie. Like, I think that we all have our opinions about Wakanda Forever, but I don't think it's by any stretch the worst Marvel film. But I think with Sinners, he has attained a whole other level. He's opened the doors to himself to a whole other level of filmmaking. I think this was I think it's by far one of the greatest vampire movies I've ever seen. And it's by far one of the best movies I've seen this year. And it's maybe going to be a movie that kind of slowly creeps up over time to be one of my top movies. I think there's so much. He said in an interview recently that he just really wanted to make a meal out of this movie. He wanted people to come out of this movie and I had a meal. And I think I got out, I looked at our friends and I was like, that was a movie. On every level, it was a movie. It was a gorgeous period piece. It was shot spectacularly. The costume design was amazing. The whole first hour of the movie before you even touch a vampire was just this amazing story. I was completely invested in it. And yeah, I knew we were going to get to the vampire stuff, but on every level, I thought it was spectacular. I think when you get about to the halfway point of the movie and Preacher Boy sings his song at the juke joint and you sort of have that moment where the thing they say at the beginning, that the music reached the ancestors and reached into the future, and you see that visualized. Yeah. I was like, this is the best thing I've seen on film. And I don't even know what's happening right now. This is insane. The movie continually took my breath away and blew me away. And I also think what's great about this movie, and it'll be interesting to hear what you guys took away from it, was it's working on so many levels that a lot of times we come out of a movie and we're like, oh, here's what the theme of the movie was. Here's what they're trying to say here. Right. I'm still dissecting parts of the movie. There's so much going on here between what it's saying about music and culture and assimilation versus appropriation and eternal life for a vampire versus what living and affecting history in a different way. There's just so much going on. But as opposed to that kind of getting a little mixed messagey or getting confusing, I just found it a joy. I just loved watching this movie from the very first shot to the very final shot. I just loved it. And I will give this movie props for, we've all been trained for a post-credit sequence, but they gave us a post-credit meal. The credits ran and then, okay, we got a little tag here. Yeah. And 10 minutes later, I was like, this is more than a tag, but I'm thrilled. I'm like, this is a great scene. So just from top to bottom, I'm putting Coogler up there with Nolan now in my book.
Ooh, wow. That's strong praise. I absolutely respect that for sure. I tweeted out that when are we going to start talking about this run of Ryan Coogler movies in the same breath of the runs of great filmmakers? And I hear you, Black Panther 2 is the one that you could maybe say is a bit of an outlier, but there's still a lot of phenomenal things in Black Panther 2. And Angela Bassett got nominated for Best Supporting Actress and arguably should have won. So, yeah.
And look, we said this 1,000 times, and we don't need to litigate it. I'd rather talk about Sinners, but between the death of Chadwick Boseman, the amount of stuff that he was asked to shove into that movie, having to kind of rework the whole movie to be Shuri, like the fact that that movie turned out how it did, and sure, it's bloated and some stuff doesn't work, and I don't love the third act, but the fact that that movie still turned out remotely on the level that it turned out is a testament to him, not to Marvel or anybody else.
That's a fair point. Shannon, your thoughts on Sinners overall here, and what stood out to you, what worked for you, what didn't work for you? What are your thoughts here?
I mean, just to touch on, and we'll get Wakanda Forever out of the way. Wakanda Forever will always have Wakanda Forever will always have an asterisk next to it, because of the task that Ryan Coogler was given to come up with a sequel to one of the most successful superhero films of all time, then to lose your lead, to completely have to change your lead story. I mean, it will always have an asterisk next to it. This is by far the best movie of the year, and I don't know if it's Coogler's best movie. I need to see it again, and I need to see it on IMAX, because it is a gorgeously shot movie. Creed always will have a special place in my heart. I don't know if it has surpassed Creed. I do think it is. I do think it surpassed Black Panther. But it is so well done. And I got to put my hand up. I'm not asking a question. It is so incredibly well done. It's the camera. It's the camera. There's nothing I can do about it. It is so incredibly well done. And this is easily the best Michael B. Jordan has ever been. Playing these identical twins who are completely different people. Like they are just, as the movie goes on, you can see you take their hats off, you take off the distinguishing garments, and you know who is who. And that is one of the biggest things. I thought Michael B. Jordan was just captivating from beginning to end. And I agree with Vogel. Like, this is a movie that did not need to be a vampire movie. The first half, maybe more than half of this film, I'm like, I just want to find out how this juke joint is going to do, because all of the things that they throw in are so by themselves, so interesting, that then you take that turn, which is coming. From the one, just from the marketing, but also from the beginning of the movie, like, that Sammy has gone through a thing. It was just, this is the definition of a crowd pleasing movie. And I imagine if you're watching this, you have seen the film already. And hopefully you saw it in the biggest packed theater that you could, because it was the perfect, like, I think it transcends horror. But I think it is the perfect horror film in that it makes you jump, it makes you laugh, it makes you think. And it was just so incredibly well done. And I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah,
I do think, just really quick on what Shannon said, he's absolutely right. This is the definition of a crowd-pleasing movie. I saw it in a packed theater, and the crowd was for sure pleased. But we're talking about a movie set in the South that is about blackness and racism and the Ku Klux Klan, and it ends with smoke.
Smoke.
And it ends with smoke, like wiping out. Stack.
Wait, smoke.
Yes.
I thought, because I don't know which way you're going, because it ends with a post-credit scene. But
okay, that's right. Sorry.
I don't know where you're going.
It ends with him mowing down the, my point is, like, this is a movie that if you go down the list of things that should be a crowd-pleasing movie, you're like, oh, maybe don't avoid that. Let's not touch on this. And the fact that he put all of this in the movie and it came out still as this satisfying experience where you come out just like jazzed about it. Like, it's really, it's like no small feat.
Stack is with Hailee Steinfeld.
And Smoke is with Wunmi Mosaku.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I tweeted about this, and I went to see it in IMAX at a screening, and I went to a theater I did not want to go to. in an area I didn't want to go to. So I was nervous about going to see the movie. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it or be in the right frame of mind to enjoy it. The first 5 minutes of the movie just hooked me and took me into this journey. And this is a very unusual film because usually when we see films set in this time from the Black point of view, it is how hard life is and how tough this is, how dreary this existence is, how dreary the land looks. This is a beautiful, vibrant film. This is talking about the South at this time in the 1930s. Even the cotton fields are shot with this kind of reverence and this kind of gorgeousness. Autumn Durald Arkapaw is the cinematographer, and she did an incredible job bringing 1930s Clarksdale, Mississippi to life, a vibrant life, so that we could connect with it. And the people we meet along the way, we like these people. We like the actors who are playing these characters. Smoke and Stack, just seeing Michael B. Jordan play the cool blackness that he is and the tough blackness that he can be, the two parts of him, right? And some people have speculated that's art and commerce, that he's making a commentary about art and commerce, which I think is a really deep approach to how Smoke and Stack work through the movie. But bringing in Miles Caton and then having this conversation about cunnilingus and opening the door to sexuality. It's so open in how it approaches its characters and how they speak and what they're dealing with. And oh, by the way, we're also going to make a commentary about racism and about, as you said, Michael, about do you surrender your culture in order to fit into the larger culture? How much does the larger culture or the dominant culture want to take from your culture, destroy it, and claim what they took as their own, right? We've seen that empires for centuries. So there's all of that working through this as well. And then the power of music to create community, but also that same music awakens this evil. And so there's so much here that's explored that by the end of the movie, when certain people live and the way they're living, you're just like, wow. So there's a lot of, there's even a commentary about Christianity. You said, Shannon, there's so much thrown in here that he is making a comment on in the Black community, giving themselves to the church when they didn't get much back from the church, as Delroy Lindo's character said. So there is so much throughout that he's making a commentary on. And it is, as you said, Michael, a very much a film about Blackness, but in a consumable way for everybody to understand where he's coming from and to think about this stuff after the movie is over. I certainly don't have the cultural intelligence to understand some of the mythology and some of the musical references, the African references that Ryan Coogler is making in this movie. But as an outsider, I can observe it, appreciate it, and totally respect the artistry with which he's composed this film as, in essence, a symphony with all these different types of instruments to bring about this incredible final piece,
Well, and what you said about feeling like an outsider, I think is worth mentioning, just because, traditionally in Hollywood, you have a movie about slavery, you have a movie about this era of our history, and there tends to be a white main character that is there for white people.
Right.
Yes. The white savior character, the character that's like, I'm the good white person who's here to make the white audience feel comfortable and to say, hey, why not all white people are bad? And that's just like, that's the way a lot of movies have been made. I remember when Black Panther came out, there was some of our friends who were geeky who came out afterwards, and in a really cool way, they were like, look, I'm a geek and I love every geeky movie. This is the first time I went to go see a geeky movie, and I watched it and I said, this movie isn't necessarily made for me. I'm happy I'm here. Right. I'm happy to be at the table. Like, I thought this was great, but Black Panther was made for the Black community. I mean, just the way that Ryan Coogler sort of took Afrofuturism and ran with it. Like, it was made for Black people, Black geeks in particular. And the rest of us came to the table and we were like, I'm excited to be here. And I had a friend who said a similar thing about Sinners, where he came out and he goes, I don't know, like, I felt like I was a guest in this movie theater. Like, I felt like I came to this movie and got to see something that I was invited to see, but this is not my culture. This is not, I don't relate to this because I don't have this lived experience, but I'm so glad that I got to be here and see this movie. And I think the fact that Ryan Coogler is able to make movies like that are inherently Black, inherently about the Black experience and Blackness, but as a non-Black person watching it, I come away going like, I really feel like I got something out of that. Like, I just think it's a really interesting thing that he seems able to do And there's other people that do it too. Jordan Peele does
right.
it in his way, but he does it in a very unique and powerful way.
Yeah, certainly Spike did that as well when he was starting out in where he was approaching. But let's move to the acting, Shannon. So much you mentioned Michael B. Jordan, but we also get Jack O'Connell as the main villain here. We get Hailee Steinfeld, as I mentioned, being a part of the movie. We got Delroy Lindo in here. We got Wunmi Mosaku, Miles Caton being a part of the movie as well in how and what their characters are contributing. Lee Jun Lee, I think, has a wonderful sequence in the movie as well. What are your thoughts on the acting overall? What whose performance has stood out? What are your thoughts on there?
I mean, the film rests on the shoulders of Michael B. Jordan, and luckily there were 2 sets for this film. You know, he is just so good, and he just makes them both so unique in their own ways. How Stack is a little bit more of the showman, like he's the one who's coming out to kind of drum up the crowd, whereas Smoke is the more business-minded one. When that one guy comes in and he's trying to buy some liquor and he tries to pay with a wooden nickel, and how Stack is happy to take it, whereas Smoke is like, we are not going to be successful if we're giving shit away. And that's what we're doing. He's like, you're literally taking a wooden nickel right now. Just again, this is the best Michael B. Jordan has ever been. Hailee Steinfeld, always reliable, always so good. But that turn that she makes after she is turned is terrifying. I mean, absolutely terrifying. My one issue with the movie was the marketing, because I thought they gave too much shit away.
I agree that her turning, and you didn't know in the trailer if it was Smoke or Stack, but knowing that one of them turned, I think they didn't need to. Those are the 2 things they didn't need to show, and everybody already was sold, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, and also I think the shot of Smoke and Sammy at the end, like that, I'm like, that is a finale shot where they are holding on. That's the one. I'm like, why did you show that? And like, I don't know if there's any way to get around not showing Michael B. in his tank top, in his blood-soaked tank top, firing a Tommy gun. I'm like, that is an awesome shot. I get that you got to show it, but I wish you could have saved it because it was just so good. Going over to Delroy Lindo. I mean, to me, this is a best supporting actor performance right here. I mean, watching again the turn that he makes as they find him on the street playing, and they're trying to get him to come play their juke joint, and he's just like, nope. He's like, I have been with this other place for so long. They are going to be there next week. They're going to be there a month from now. You could be gone tomorrow. And watching that turn, but also how funny he was. I mean, when the moment where he says he think he shit himself, and you understand where he's coming from. I mean, his character had this beautiful arc where he is, bless you. He has this beautiful arc where he is looking out for himself, and he makes the ultimate sacrifice at the end to try to help some people get away. I thought, this being the first performance of Miles Caton, I thought again he was great. I mean, he's the heart of the movie, and knowing how the character is introduced at the beginning, him showing up at the church with the neck of the guitar, separated from the rest of the instrument, coming into this stark white chapel, and his, like, and we don't know it at the time, but his father seeing him in his state and be like, come up here and confess. And it's like, he needs a minute. Everything was so good. Love that we saw Buddy Guy at the end. Who was a very famous blues guitarist. I think I probably would have cast an actor because in that moment when Michael B. and Hailee show up, there is that moment where you could squeeze a little bit more fear. And I don't think that was necessarily in Buddy Guy's repertoire, because again, that guy is an amazing musician. He is going to go down in history. He doesn't need anything else, but that would have been the only thing. It's like, it would have been great to have had an actor, because you could have squeezed a little bit more fear out of the audience. But across the board, everyone in this film was fantastic. Oh, and Jack O'Connell.
I was just going to say, you got something to say about him. Yeah.
Again, the best this guy has ever been as well. I mean, Ryan Coogler has a way of bringing these performances out of people. The shocking humanity's not the right word, but the understanding that he brings, where he's just kind of like, normally when you have a vampire film, your vampire is your bad guy, they are evil incarnate, and he's a bad guy. But as he turns everyone and you see like, no, we can help you. You got to do this thing. You got to do this terrible thing. This thing has to happen to you, but you are going to live such a better life if you just get on board with us. That moment where he's comparing the struggles that he went through hundreds of years ago to the struggles that the Black community is going through in this period in time in the early 20th century. It is fascinating because you're listening to him and you're listening to the other people like, ooh, it's scary that you're making sense right now, but it is just so well done. Jack O'Connell is an actor that I think can be a little inconsistent. And I think in this, he was outstanding. Yeah.
Michael, your thoughts on the acting here in the film?
Well, as far as the end of the movie, I think when you have a movie that at its core is about the transcendent power of music, probably better to cast the guy that has proven that he has made music transcendent than to squeeze a little bit of their acting out of that one moment. But that's just my 2 cents. I don't think Shannon's wrong.
How many people knew that was Buddy Guy?
It doesn't matter though, but it doesn't matter though, because that's like, what's great about this movie is that Ryan Coogler's working on so many levels. What he's talking about is what he wants to talk about. And for what he wants to talk about, Preacher Boy getting to the end of his career and being this person that is bringing, again, not necessarily within the confines of the narrative, but in the confines of the experience of this movie, I just think that I appreciate that choice more than I would have appreciated that little bit of extra squeeze in that moment. Like, you're not wrong about the performance, but that's just my opinion. So I hear what you're saying. I just wanted to offer the counterpoint. I bring this up a lot, but I often think about John Rocha's issues with side characters.
Oh, boy.
I probably think about it a lot because he brings it up a lot, like in everything that we talk about. But I thought about it during this movie, and as we're talking about the performances, I think you can't talk about the performances without talking about the meaty roles that they got to play. And part of what makes this movie amazing, like Shannon said, is you get to the hour and 10 minutes into this movie and you're like, I ain't seen a vampire yet, but I can wait because I want to see how this juke joint goes. Like, I'm into it. And so the reason you feel that way is because he just goes through and he introduces Smoke and Stack and he introduces Preacher Boy. And then whether it's Delroy Lindo, Wunmi Mosaku, Hailee Steinfeld, what are the actors, the Asian couple from the grocery store?
Lee. Lee Jun Lee. Sorry, Lee Jun Lee and Yao. Yeah.
Just from and then even Cornbread. Like every single sequence, like every character that you introduce as you go through this journey of them getting ready for the juke joint, you're like, you understand who they are, you understand how they're related to the main characters, you understand what they care about, you understand what they're bringing to the table, and then when they all come together for the juke joint and you get to watch them all having this like joyous moment that sort of culminates in the bringing together of the past and the present and the future, it's like it's like such a great joy to watch, and it's because they fill these characters. I think Delroy Lindo absolutely is going to get a Best Supporting Actor nomination out of this. Like, I think he steals the movie. He steals several scenes in this movie, and it's hard to do with the cast that you have. I've always been, ever since Lovecraft Country, I've been a fan of Wunmi Mosaku. I think she's absolutely fantastic. And I love that she's in the MCU. I'm glad that she's working the TVA. She doesn't get a lot to do in that role. So seeing her do a role like this is really, really satisfying. And both she and Hailee Steinfeld have these characters that in a lesser movie, the love interest with so many other things going on could be really reduced to a two-dimensional kind of character. And they're both given such rich life on the page that the actresses bring to life. And like, really, we talk a lot about sometimes you go, there's not a weak link in a movie. Like, the cast was great, there's not a weak link. This was a movie where, to me, like, there wasn't even like everybody was at the absolute top of their game. And Jack O'Connell playing the vampire, we'll get into more about like what the vampire represents. Everything Shannon was talking about him kind of coming in as this vampire who actually is scary because he makes sense. The fact that in a lot of ways, the vampires in this movie represent assimilation, like represent the fact that American culture sort of took black music and said, yeah, we're going to steal this from you and say it's ours. Like that's kind of what the vampire represents, I think, in a lot of ways. And so everyone just had so much fun playing this. And like, you took scenes like Cornbread coming up to be asked to be let in. That could have been a perfectly good scene. But that actor brought so much to that, like watching him play. It was like, it's weird when you have a movie where you're watching a scene and it's a tense scene and you're sort of, that there's tension because it's a vampire movie, but you're also sort of giddy watching it because you can tell they're having so much fun with what they're doing that you end up having fun. So like just performances across the board, absolutely stellar.
Yeah, echo everything you both have said. Omar Benson Miller is who plays Cornbread. He's been in a lot of things, and that's the smart casting throughout. Miles Caton is a revelation, and the fact that this is his debut role, he knocked it out of the park as a guy who's a musician. Not a lot of musicians can transition to become actors and knock it out of the park at the level that he did in this movie. So special shout out to him, and I want to see more from him going forward, whether it's musically or acting wise, because I was very impressed by him and how he carried the emotional heart of the movie throughout it. Right. And I thought it was fantastic the way it was done. But yes, Hailee Steinfeld going next level right now. A lot of people are thirsty for her after this movie, which I think has been hilarious to see, but she does a great job with how she presents from the beginning. As you said, Michael, the side characters getting a little more extra life, the back and forth she has about the way she was left, the anger she has over it, the betrayal of that. So now you're invested in that relationship. Where's that going to lead us? With Wunmi Mosaku, the fact that they've lost a child who is buried out there right outside where she works, and he's got to come visit. And how long has it been? And they have this like really passionate sex scene between them, or making love scene between them. And so you've got that connection, so that when she sacrifices herself or when she's dying and she tells him to do what he needs to do, it's so devastating because of the performance you've seen ahead of time. I agree with you guys on Delroy. Just fantastic stuff. And no, I love the connective tissue. Delroy did some of his best work under the direction of Spike Lee, doing another great job here under the direction of Ryan Coogler. So you love to see people who recognize greatness that hasn't gotten a chance to really do more and be seen in more. So Delroy does a wonderful job. But Lee Jun Lee, man, I just loved her in this movie. The brassiness and the ballsiness of it, I thought was the gutsiness, shall I say, was fantastic to see her being a part of this. And she's the one that initiates the battle. Everyone else is like, let me think about what to do. She's like, F this, they're coming for my daughter, we're going. And boom, and likes it all. And I love the fact that they used an Asian couple, because people sometimes have a vision of the South that it's just white or black, and there was no Asian, but it is a very diverse area. All three of us have grown up in the South. We know how diverse it can be. And so I like that they didn't shy away from that in the movie as well. And yes, Jack O'Connell, man, I mean, just the way he first appears with smoke coming off him, and the blood and whatever shreds of human skin he has on him, and then he takes over those, and then when you get to that scene where they're playing their song and doing their little bluegrass song, and then eventually the Irish lilt, and when everybody is in this demonic, that he's converted to be vampires, and this demonic thing where they're dancing around as he does his little Irish jig. I mean, you're just like, what the fuck?
I've always found Riverdance to be demonic, so it was no surprise to me.
Little kick and everything. So yeah, so just across the board. But yes, Michael B. Jordan, as you said, Jen. I mean, Ruthie Carter did a great job helping people who maybe couldn't tell the difference, but I think he brings on both of those characters really strongly. And I love Ryan Coogler fucking with us, with them fighting each other and then handing each other a cigarette. Like, that is so great.
The cigarette thing was hilarious to me. It made me, because you got to love a movie where it's like, we live in the era where visual effects can pretty much do anything at this point. Like we can do a lot. Sometimes they don't look great, but like they can do it. And for Ryan Coogler to be like, look, I could easily just have these two standing here. And it would be a great shot. But I'm going to have them pass that cigarette three times just to show you that I can.
Yeah. So good. Well, let's talk about what you were alluding to, Michael, here. And that is what does Jack O'Connell's a vampire represent in this movie, and what Remick is supposed to be trying to do here? Because that's really the big moments in the movie. Yes, there are commentaries about music, commentaries about art and commerce, commentaries about that, but this is really the big one, the idea of assimilation, which you keep referencing. So what are your thoughts about this?
Well, and I think it's tied to the music. I mean, I wasn't
Yes.
prepared for the amount of music that we were going to get in this movie. And this is one where I'm sure I'm going to say stuff and I'm going to be off, or I'm not going to get it right, or there's other aspects that you can really dive into. So this is definitely one where I want all y'all to leave your comments, because I think there's some really cool dialogues that can happen with this. But to me, the way it was really in the scene where he came up to them and kind of made his case, where they came up and they're like, hey, like those guys, those white people are going to come kill you. Like, they're bad. Like, we can protect you. Like, we're good. You come over here. We're all having a great time. We're all together. And it was the thing that he said about how once he bites you, he knows everything about you. Right. And the way that he knew every aspect of everything. So once he bit Hailee Steinfeld, he knew everything about her and Stack's relationship. Right. And like, even the way when they walked up and did the bluegrass and they were all in sync when they first came up, being able to like they were able to do that because he assimilated everything them. So he had his music. Yeah. But it was Preacher Boy's music that drew him to the juke joint in the first place. And he wanted that for himself. And he was like, if you just come with me, we'll all have this. And so when you have that whole joyous river dance number where they were all having a good time, it was this moment of like, hey, isn't this great? Assimilate with us. Look, there's white, there's black. We're all good. Like, we're all just doing this, but we're taking everything and we're making it this other thing. Right. As opposed to the other piece of this, which is a really great musician manages to touch the past and touch the future. And so as Preacher Boy is the main character of this movie, so it's really his arc that we're looking at. He has the father that says, put that guitar down. And even Smoke is like, don't follow that. Don't do your thing. Right. And he makes that choice at the end. He's got that moment where he could drop that piece of the guitar or not. And he hangs on to that thing for dear life and drives the fuck out of town. And so it's like his choice was to keep making the music that made him eternal in I think the movie's thesis is the right way. Yeah. Like, you can either live eternal as a vampire and be outside of the culture, not be able to touch the culture, not be able to be a part of it because you have sort of robbed yourself of that. So the best you can do is assimilate other people's stuff. Or you can continue to be deeply entrenched in your culture, and you can touch the past and you can touch the future. And that's why the post-credit sequence is so important, because you have Hailee Steinfeld and Stack come in, and they've been living their lives, but they've been living outside of it. Like, that's why Stack comes in. He goes, I miss the way it really sounds. I miss how it really sounded. Will you play for me? Because he's robbed of it. He doesn't have it anymore. But because Preacher Boy lived his whole life out, he did it. He made that music that made him eternal in a different way. And I just think taking vampires and making them a dialogue about how culture and predominant culture in any society, which for us is white culture, has over time, I mean, like, you can go through the history of blues to rock and roll, rap, whatever, and you can watch how the black community came in and had a lot of their own music, and white people said, I don't want to listen to that, but if you have a white person play the guitar and do the same thing, it's fine. Yeah. And that's the music industry. So I just found that all fascinating.
You can even see that with TikTok, right? What's the big accusation is that black people come up with these dances and white TikTok creators take the dances, do them, and they become way more successful off of that. So you do see that. There's multiple examples of it throughout, which is why when I saw people trying to take this film down, claiming that it's just like Dusk Till Dawn, I got super upset about it. Shannon, your thoughts about, it's so ridiculous. Your thoughts on what Jack O'Connell represents here and what maybe Ryan Coogler was trying to say with his character of Remick.
So I am not the most discerning audience member when it comes to thematic undertones. But what I will say is just the way it pertains to the story, in that Sammy's dad is presenting the only alternative to what you want to do is the church. The church is the only way that you are going to live a fulfilled life. Come with me. The word of God is how you become eternal. Remick is basically saying what you can do can open up a world of possibilities for me. Like it's like literally like you were able to kind of, pierce the veil essentially. Like I will be able to do so much with your gifts. I want you to be able to do something, but basically you have to do it my way. You have to become a vampire to achieve this greatness, as you both already said, to become eternal. And when it got to that moment at the end of the film, when we go back into the church and you see him holding that, the broken neck of the guitar, for a moment, I'm kind of like, man, I don't know what he's going to do right now, because the movie presents us with two options. And he decides to bet on himself, gets into the car and goes away. And so when they do have that tag, when they do have that post-credit sequence, mid-credit sequence, to see how he turned out, like what he was able to do by betting on himself, by following his own instincts, like it was just a really beautiful capper to this very well-told story.
Yeah, the insidiousness of him is what I love. And look, the Native Americans coming after him. I would love to have a whole Max series about the Native American vampire.
Dude, me too.
That was awesome. And the fact that the white people who are with the Klan didn't want to listen to the Native Americans about this danger that Remick represents. And then they're the ones that get co-opted because they're already corrupt in their souls. And so there's a commentary in that. And then the way they come across with the music, like we said, a lot of people don't know how much white music was influenced by black music. They want to ignore it or forget it. We saw the controversies happen recently over Beyonce's country album, and all these artists going like, well, she don't live here, so she's from Houston, Texas, and so there's things that you see all the time. So Remick representing that and then assimilating all the different cultures and turning them into some really bastardized hybrid musical combination with all of them dancing around. That is the commentary that he's making, that I thought was really powerful. But like Michael said, it didn't hit you over the head with it. It was here if you wanted to take it, and you don't have to take it, because Shannon said it doesn't usually always look for these kinds of things. It's a great vampire movie without it, but with it, it has so much more richness and so much more depth. And as Shannon was saying, the thing that unsettles you is that you can understand why some people might be fooled by the by the elixir that Remick is pouring out of his mouth to pour into people's ears for them to go along. And hey, if you just come with us, look at all the things you're going to get once you assimilate. Look at all the things that are going to happen for you once you assimilate. And it's Preacher Boy who stays true to who he is, even rebelling against religion, to be who he wants to be and not be tied up in one organization or another. He's doing what he wants to do with his life. So there's a strong commentary in that as well. So yeah, Michael, you wanted to jump in?
I mean, look, I'm sure that there are people who can write articles about, who are more knowledgeable than I am, about the black community's relationship with the church, the black community's relationship with assimilation, the black community trying to figure out where they fit in culturally. And the fact that Ryan Coogler's like this, to Shannon's point, this movie was my father and the church say to do this. This vampire that represents assimilation says to do this, and I choose this. And I think there's a lot there. But to your point, and this is, I think, what makes this movie so spectacular is we could talk about all that for hours and hours, and you could dive in on all the things that this means. You can also go, this was a better version of From Dusk Till Dawn. It is the comparison from Dusk Till Dawn is not out of the blue. I mean, they're both vampire movies, but From Dusk Till Dawn starts off as a movie about these two brothers that are killers. And this whole thing, and the first hour of the movie is just this story about these people that get pulled into this thing and get stuck on this RV on their way to Mexico. And then it goes vampire crazy. This is a movie that spends its first hour about this human stuff and then goes vampire crazy. So it's an obvious parallel. I think it's a better version, but that's the thing. If you want to go watch this movie and go, this was just a fucking great story, and this was some great action at the end, and I loved it, and it was cool. Yeah. Great. If you want to really dive in on the way that he brings in the people from the past and the people from the future as he's singing and all the stuff that's going on, there's just layers and layers and layers that you can dive into on this movie. But as opposed to other directors that make their movies that are all about this is what this represents, and you kind of watch it and you're like, I get that there was a lot of symbology here, but I don't really understand what happened. Like, this was weird. This has all of that deep thinking and symbolism, and it's also a straight up crowd pleaser.
Yeah, agreed. And real quick, because we're running out of time on this particular review, Ludwig Göransson's score. I mean, I think this is another possibly Oscar nomination for him because this score was exceptional. But I turn it over to the two score whores to hear what they think.
I have said this about Ludwig Göransson, I think since the Black Panther score, and particularly with some of his other work that he's done. I'm curious to see his body of work 10 years from now, 15 years from now. I think he has the best. I don't think he's maybe ever going to surpass these two, but we'll see. He might. I think he has some of the best qualities of both John Williams and Hans Zimmer kind of rolled into one.
Interesting. Okay. So you like the score is what I'm trying to find out.
I love every Ludwig Göransson score.
Okay.
I think like with this movie in particular, you can go, if you go to Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you go, there's the motion picture soundtrack and the score both released separately. So the motion picture soundtrack has all of the songs plus some other songs, plus some songs that were inspired by the movie but like, it's like every major musical sequence from the movie is on that soundtrack, and it's great. And then you can separately get the score, which is just all of the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful music that they made for it. And both are really, really worth taking a listen to.
Right on. What did you think, Shannon, about the score here?
Outstanding. I mean, there's Ludwig Göransson's work. Nothing sounds similar. Everything is so different. When you compare the score to Black Panther, you compare the score to The Mandalorian, you compare to when he worked on Community. I mean, everything just sounds so different. So anytime I'm watching something that one of his co-collaborators, which is mainly Ryan Coogler, whenever I hear it, I'm like, I wonder if Göransson did this score, because this, I can't connect this to him at all. But naturally, of course, Ludwig Göransson did it. Like he is Ryan Coogler's guy. Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, and the fact that people are coming out who are not necessarily score people like yourself, Johnny, people are coming out, and that's one of the things they're talking about is the score. Yes, I think there's probably some talk of some fancy statues for Göransson on this one as well.
I mean, I felt that way about Wolfish's score in Invisible Man. Like when there are scores that just stand out and feel like they are a part of a character in the movie, that's when you really are just like blown away by the work that's being done. And I think Ludwig did an exceptional job in this film as well. All right. Any final thoughts as we wrap up? Because we're almost at the 45-minute mark. Anything else you guys want to make sure we hit on?
Only final thought that I was really taken by is that as much as this is a vampire movie where a lot of people die, it was really interesting to me that all three main characters in their own weird ways got happy endings. Like, Smoke dies, but in his final moments, you really get the sense that since he did what Wunmi Mosaku asked of him, he gets to go be with her and gets to be with his child that he lost. And so you really get a sense of closure with him. With Preacher Boy, we get to see him sort of at the end of his life and know that he led a very happy life doing what he loved. But even Stack and Hailee Steinfeld coming at the end as vampires, they don't come in and go, we're going to kill you, Oogie, Oogie Boogie, we're the bad guys now. They come in, he goes, hey, I promised my brother I wouldn't kill you, but now you're into your life. Like, I'm happy to do it. And he's like, no, I'm good. He's like, cool, play me songs. And they have a nice little interaction and they leave. And you're like, well, they got together. Yeah. Like both Smoke and Stack in very unexpected ways got the girl.
Yeah, true.
And they seem good. And then Preacher Boy got his thing. So it was a weird kind of sensation to go see this movie that kind of goes through like some extreme violence and a lot of people go down and die. But our three main characters in very different ways got satisfying endings.
I just love that he showed up wearing a Cosby sweater. That was so perfect to the commentary there. So I thought that was genius as well. Shannon, your final thoughts here on this?
Visually, this is just a gorgeous movie. You know, it's probably going to play in IMAX theaters for another week, 2 weeks before Thunderbolts comes out. So if you did
yeah.
see this in a regular theater, go see it again in IMAX, because seeing this on the biggest screen possible, it is definitely worth a second viewing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to drive up to Irvine and see it in the IMAX they have there, because that apparently is the best IMAX in our area to go see that, and so I want to see it again in IMAX and enjoy it. Yeah, listen, this is an auteur, as I said in my tweet. This is an auteur's masterpiece. This is Ryan Coogler leveling up. This is his first wholly original story. It's not beholden to the MCU or a true story like Fruitvale Station or the Rocky franchise. This is Ryan Coogler, a young, still, you might forget this, still young director with an incredible amount of intelligence, putting a lot of commentary throughout the movie, but also creating an exciting vampire film along with a fantastic commentary about being true to who you are, no matter what the other things are, what the other voices are in your life, trying to pull you away from what your direction is. So I love the way he directed this film. I love the cinematography, the writing, the score, and also the costuming that was done by Ruth E. Carter, who did a wonderful job throughout. So this is a film that it's going to be recognized as one of these masterpieces, modern masterpieces, as the years go on. It's brilliant. As you said, Michael, it's one that you can still chew on no matter how many times you see it, because you're picking up new things as you watch it every time. And that's the greatness of a great film. All right, well, there you go. That's our spoiler review for Sinners. It's out in theaters now, as Shannon said. Go and see it, definitely in an IMAX theater if you can, and let us know what you think about it. Shannon, what do we have to tell these fine folks in thanking them for watching our spoiler review?
Yeah, I'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's @geek_buddies. On Instagram, @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is @MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is @The Rocha Says.
Mikey.
Go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page. Check out all the amazing content he's got there. Leave your comments below. What did you take away from Sinners? What did you think of the movie? What do you think worked? What do you think didn't work? Let us know below. If you're listening to us on a podcast, leave us some stars and comments. They'll go up in the rankings and more people can find us. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. All right. Don't forget, we dropped a spoiler review for The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2 that it's out now. And then later on this week, we will have our main show with our spoiler review, the first 3 episodes of Andor Season 2 as well. So look for that here on the
Geek Buddies.